New tonight, the leader of the Boy Scouts apologizing for subjecting his scouts, most of whom are teenagers, to President Trump's political speech at the group's gathering this week. Now, just to remind you what is prompting this apology, this is just some of what the president said to the scouts.
Who the hell wants to speak about politics when I'm in front of the Boy Scouts, right? We could use some more loyalty, I will tell you that. By the way, just a question. Did President Obama ever come to a jamboree? And you know, we have a tremendous disadvantage in the Electoral College. Popular vote is much easier. We ought to change it from the word swamp to the word cesspool, or perhaps to the word sewer.
After that speech, the Scouts released a statement saying they don't promote any one political position or candidate. But that did little to quell the dispute. So today, a much sharper statement came from the Scout executive, and he writes, quote, "I want to extend my sincere apologies to those in our Scouting family who were offended by the political rhetoric that was inserted into the Jamboree. That was never our intent." So let's just be clear, because, by the way, there were some people the other night who were saying that the president was not being political and it wasn't political rhetoric. And I think it's just want to make it clear here that the Scout chief is saying that it was. So whether you agree or not, he is saying it was political rhetoric. I want to bring back my panel. Chris Cillizza, you wrote about some of these cringeworthy lines from Trump's speech. I just played a couple of them. Did the Scouts get boxed into a corner here? I mean, you know, when you hear the booing, it was pretty loud.
Yeah, they did. Look, the speech that was written for Donald Trump to deliver, which he did, was probably fine, but this is like all Donald Trump's speeches.
This was the ad-lib portion, I would presume, right?
In between the written speech that he's reading from prompter, like every president, not unique to him, he ad-libs. And the ad-libbing is, and this again is true for almost all of Donald Trump's speeches, where he gets into trouble. This is where he veers off into the Barack Obama never spoke to this group, and the stuff about Michigan and Wisconsin, and everybody said we couldn't win. So that's the story of the Trump presidency. He's his own worst enemy. He does this stuff to himself. He has pretty good to very good natural instincts as a communicator, but he doesn't realize and stop himself when he should, and as a result, it gets in his own way a lot of the time. This was an incident, a case of that.
And Paris, it sounds like he treated it like a rally. We, with the Electoral College, we, and right. I mean, and look, the cheers were loud, I'll give you that, but there were clearly people there who didn't agree, and they didn't feel they were a part of that we.
And I think that was the minority in the 45,000 plus Boy Scouts that were there. I think we can mix and slice and dice of 6 or 7 lines that we didn't like that might have been considered political in an entire speech, which actually was a very good positive speech. But I will tell you this, Aaron, in 10, 15 years, those Boy Scouts are not going to remember every line or any line that the president gave. They're going to remember the fact that the President of the United States and 2 sitting cabinet members came to the Jamboree. They're going to remember the fact that the previous president didn't come. It's just like our graduation speakers. You may not remember every word that they say, but you remember the fact that that person came and spoke to you. So it's the bigger issue here is the president came to the Jamboree and they cheered him, and they cheered him loudly.
I will say, though, I don't remember who didn't come or who rejected coming to my college to speak. I do remember who, because that's a positive thing, not always a dispositive.
Well, Mrs. Bush was supposed to be my graduation speaker. She didn't come.
I remember having been addressed by a president who didn't serve out his term probably, since, you know. But can I mean,
go ahead.
What a jackass you have to be to speak to the Boy Scouts and attack your predecessor as president of the United States. Here you are at an all-American civic thing. Don't say a word if you can't say something nice about Barack Obama. Previous presidents, I would say, would probably have cited their predecessors. Dwight Eisenhower spoke there. Barack Obama greeted Boy Scouts. In the White House, you know, you'd say something about the presidency as a whole, about transcending partisanship. Yes, but God forbid Donald Trump. Of course, he wouldn't say anything nice about any of his predecessors, whether it's Barack Obama or George W. Bush or Bill Clinton or George H.W. Bush or Ronald Reagan. But he really has to attack Barack Obama, his predecessor as president of the United States, who behaved with some dignity in office. I wrote 8 years of editorials criticizing Barack Obama, but Barack Obama behaved in a way that is a much better example for Boy Scouts than Donald Trump, if I could just be simple-minded about this.
Paris? Would you disagree
Bill
with that, Paris? Can I just ask you this point? When it comes to personal behavior, are you okay with the model that Donald Trump is setting for Boy Scouts?
I think it's evident by the 45,000 Boy Scouts that cheered this man when he came out on that stage. They applauded him, and they loved every minute of it. And I think that when you look at personal people who should be your mentors or your heroes, you should look to your family. You should look toward people that you're close to. But I will say this, for Bill Kristol not to get through one segment and calling the president a jackass totally flies in the face of his current statements about the president. How about you follow suit, but what you want the president to do and show him a little bit of respect and do with the Boy Scouts what you think that they should do? That's inappropriate. Let's set the standard.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I hope
no,
I didn't
you're not
offend
actually.
you.
Don't patronize me.
I hope
All
I didn't
I'm
offend
saying is
people like you.
should.
People like you have been rationalizing Donald Trump and defending him and everything about him. And I hope you're pleased with his behavior in the White House. And I hope you're pleased with Anthony Scaramucci saying what he said. I said the word jackass. What did Anthony Scaramucci say?
He didn't say anything to you, and the president said anything to you specifically on air like this. But what I would say is we should elevate it. We're talking about the Boy Scouts. If you have a problem with the president, let's reflect on what you just said. You can get through a segment without personally attacking the president and call him out of his name. It's ridiculous, and you know it is.
Oh, I don't think it's ridiculous. He's a jackass. I'm just going to say it. That's an
empirical. Well, then you know what?
That's an empirical
statement.
Here's
the question, Aaron. Here's the question. Should the Boy Scouts go around calling the president and other people jackasses because they might disagree with them politically? I don't think so.
No, not
Bill,
because they disagree with him politically, because they think he's behaving very badly and inappropriately.
No, they didn't. They applauded him. They cheered him. Read the entire speech. It was a very good speech. I'll tweet it tonight, and I'll tag you in it so you can read it.
All right. Let me ask you a question, Jen, about the president here, though, because you've got the head of the Boy Scouts, right, who had come out and sort of tepidly apologized and then came out, as we said, with a very sharp apology, right? The response, though, from the White House so far is far from an apology, right? The president himself has said absolutely nothing. The press secretary, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, is the one who weighed in, and here she is.
I was at that event and heard nothing but a lot of cheering and probably one of the most energetic crowds I've seen in front of the president. And so I don't have anything to add. I haven't seen the statement from the Boy Scouts, so I can't comment any further than what I saw firsthand.
So obviously, Jen, there will be no apology from the White House, from the president.
No, and I think we should just take a step back here for a second. I'm a mom. I know a lot of people on this panel are parents. These are kids in this audience with their parents, and they're more concerned probably about video games and camping and fishing. He didn't know his audience, but more importantly, he was offensive to his audience. Yes, there was cheering, but this isn't political analysis about a rally. This is about speaking to a bunch of kids and being the commander-in-chief and the president and not the leader of a political party. And when you're president, a lot of the things on your schedule are ceremonial. You're meeting with kids, you're meeting with students, you're meeting with teachers, you're meeting with sports teams. And he really has not found a way to adapt to that and really find a way to bring the country together. And you can do that through opportunities like the Boy Scouts speech.
All right. Thank you all very much. Well said. I appreciate it. And next.